Hi, everyone. This is Martin Willis. Welcome to Podcast UFO, to episode number 20. Today's show is on the entertainment side of the phenomenon. It's with the writer, producer, and two cast members, actually three cast members, including him, of Milgram and the Fastwalkers. That is a web TV series, and it's a fun show, so call this one for entertainment, and I hope you enjoy it.
That's what she
Okay.
said.
I'm going to leave that in.
Sorry.
No, I'm leaving that in. Yeah.
Right on.
Your publicist is going to love that, Johnny. Keep talking. Keep digging, slugger.
I'm going to get us in trouble.
All right, so this is Martin Willis, and I am on Skype. This is kind of fun today because I'm on Skype, first of all, in Baltimore with Richard Cutting. How you doing, Richard?
Very well, Martin. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and we have Beverly Hills at the W Hotel, Johnny Alonzo.
What's going on? How are you?
And last but certainly not least, Walker Hayes. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
So this is a for-internet TV show based on UFOs called Milgram and the Fastwalkers. And who wants to start talking? Well, how about you, Richard, since it's your deal you put together and you're the writer? Why don't you talk, first of all, about the basis of the show and how someone can find it and what episode you're in. And before we get into that, I could only find 5 episodes. Are there more available online?
No, actually, that's our release right now. We're at the 5th episode. So if you've seen 5, you've seen all that have been released so far. You're right up to speed. And there will be 12 in Season 1. So that's where we stand, a little less than halfway through Season 1. The show started, I've been interested in UFOs for a long time and have been writing about them for some time. And back in the day, I wrote a script about alien abduction when I became interested in that side of the business. I've spent a lot of time with ufologists, and there are so many good people working in this field, technically competent people across such a wide range of disciplines, everything from material science to aeronautics and psychology and exobiology, and it's on. And I have great respect for the people working in this field, not only because of their expertise, but because of the sort of certain standoffishness by the, in quotes, regular scientific community, which is now breaking down, by the way. But in any event, I saw a lot of dramatic material here, and at one point I decided to write a feature-length film about it, and I did, which I began to sell for a while and then got on to other projects. But when the web series format became viable for people at our level of production, I immediately seized on this as a great topic for episodic television in the soap opera format. And so that's what we did. We took a storyline that exists. We've got over 400 pages of material of this. We could shoot this for the next 5 years if we wanted to.
Wow. Okay.
So, and my commitment in this series is to take a look at the UFO world, and specifically the alien abduction subworld, because there are many, many different subworlds in ufology, as you know, Martin. You could just be the guy who analyzes soil, or you could be the guy who analyzes photos or looks at, navigation and propulsion systems. There are a lot of disciplines here. I decided to look at alien abduction and know a lot of the players in that field over time, and it's very dramatic, and our commitment in the series is to try and show that, albeit in a dramatic form, as accurately as we can, based on the descriptions of the episodes by actual abductees, and I've met a number of them over the years, so we're trying to put accurate stuff into the series, again, in a soap format, out of sort of a quasi-respect for the ufology field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Walker, you're right in the first episode, it looks like you are being abducted, or
Is that right? I'm in the first episode being abducted, Richard?
Well, in the prologue,
maybe
we
it's the prologue.
we shoot everything so out of order.
yeah, in the prologue,
I'm kind of clueless.
is the setup. You got Milgram looking back over what happened, so that's sort of a setup, and then the whole thing is told in flashback. But yes, in episode 1, Sally's working as a lawyer in her den, or her living room, or her kitchen, actually.
Oh, right, the kitchen. Okay, now I got it.
Remember when we shot that back?
But we shot episode 3 first.
Yes, well,
So, okay.
which is now episode something else. So, yeah, we shoot out a sequence. So
Yeah, she was a redhead, too, so yeah, continue.
I was not.
I'm messing with you.
I can't say as I blame the aliens for abducting Miss Hayes. Very pretty girl.
Absolutely.
And,
Thank you.
and Johnny, what's your character? I saw you briefly in one shot. You're a PI, yes?
Yes, I am. Dean Savage, PI. Very cool character. One of like the newest, I think one of the newer characters on the block. And he looks like one of those guys that just skated through school. You know, he just kind of like made graduation. He's very disheveled. But he's highly intelligent. He's extremely intuitive, and he's kind of good looking. So
There you go.
Hey, you're right.
Do you possess any of those qualities, or?
Absolutely not. You can ask all my ex-girlfriends. No.
Hey,
Dean Savage is kind of cool only because the way Richard explained it to me, it's kind of a weird puzzle, and Dean Savage is a puzzle piece that kind of fits in, but not really, but is necessary in order for the puzzle to be put together. So I'm really looking forward to the second season because he has some really interesting stuff for the role, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Your character doesn't come into play right off the bat. Now, you're saying that next season is going to be great. The first thing I thought of when I saw you is that you work for the government. Are you somehow able to talk about that at this point?
Not really. Only because.
You can say it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then yes. The answer is yes. Right?
I don't tell them. I don't tell them anything.
Richard is very top secret about what he's going to do next with anything, and I mean, Walker and I will prod him hourly. Like, dude, please help us out. Like, no, I can't give away secrets. I think it's because Richard hasn't written anything yet. But other than that, no. He's just very top secret, so I wish I had more of an answer. But I can say this. He did divulge an episode, like I said, season 2, which, man, if it plays out, this backstory with Dean Savage is going to be really, really cool. And, of course, Sally. But, it's going to be neat. I mean, he's a talented writer, and I mean, an artist works the way he wants to and needs to work, so I respect it. But Richard, I'll keep bugging the hell out of you. I still want to know more.
No, that's good. Actors always want this thing called backstory, and they want to know what their character's about. They want to be able to prepare a role. They want to do all this crazy stuff that they think really makes a role work. And I don't get it. I mean, I think they should just get a page of dialogue right as they go on camera. And I don't understand that. But
well, we all know our past, but none of us really know our future, right?
Ooh.
Thank God.
Take a breath and think about that.
Yeah. I'm going to start with you, Walker. What is your opinion on UFOs and all that, abductions even?
Richard made me read a bunch of books. And so, I don't know. I mean, I would say, like, as I get older, I'm more open to the possibilities of everything. But if you had asked me like 5 years ago, I would have been like, right.
Yeah.
So I'm more open now than I would have been. And after reading some of this stuff, I mean, it's very compelling when you hear accounts of people being in different countries and all over the world, and back in the day before the internet and before, radio and things like that. And so the stories are so similar when they really couldn't have like corroborated one another. And so that kind of stuff is really interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of science fiction as a kid with my dad, and I always found it really entertaining. So I like the idea that there could be something else out there. And I watch a lot of Ancient Aliens,
Oh, yeah.
which is like conspiracy theory at its finest, and I love it. So I'm very open. I don't have like a set opinion one way or the other, but I do find it entertaining and very intriguing.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's about, I guess as far as America goes, there's 50% or so people believe that they exist, and it's something like 70% of the population believes the government knows something that they're covering up,
these are going back to the Roper polls in the 90s.
That's right. Yeah. Now, I saw in episode 4, I believe it is, Richard, you were at a bookstore at a book signing. Nobody was there, unfortunately, but you reached over to this UFO book, and that was, I believe, it was a Bud Hopkins book.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I have decided, just to be playful with the UFO community, because I really want people who enjoy this topic to come and see our series. It's a soap opera, so it's for soap fans, but also UFO people. And I decided to sort of salt every episode with what you might call an Easter egg, a little hidden program, a little hidden reference. Mm-hmm. And if you stop that frame and you look at that book, it says, I think it says Mac Hopkins Bud, or Bud Mac Hopkins.
Yeah, there was something
like
a little askew there. Yes.
So I've titled it, and Walker and Johnny, you wouldn't necessarily know this, but those are three of the most prominent people in the UFO alien abduction. Mm-hmm. Bud Hopkins, John Mack, and I don't know who the third one was, but we do little
that's
tricks.
One of the books that you had me read, Bud Hopkins.
The Intruders. The incident at Copley Woods, probably. Yeah.
Johnny, what is your thoughts on the whole UFO phenomena?
Well, ever since as a little boy, as a kid, you're always fascinated with the idea, and you believe in it. Me, though, the opposite of what Walker's answer. I never. She kind of grew into believing there could be something else out there. I never stopped believing. There's a romance.
It's half better than me, don't
there has to be. No, there's like this romance. A lot of there's a romance about it, and when we get older, we kind of lose that. And I never have. And I also work on another program that works with NASA. And come on, you wouldn't build Area 51 if you're just going to be housing like a bunch of cars. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff out there. I believe, and I want to believe. And like I said, it's a romance for me that I've never changed my song or dance with. And when Richard offered this role to me, it gave me a chance to work with this great cast and crew. But just the whole idea, the writing, the genre, it's fascinating. It's very, very cool. It's exciting.
Well, the first thing I noticed right away was there is very good writing. I noticed it right away in the prologue. And the filming, it's HD. It's very nicely filmed, edited well, all that. It looks like you're really putting a lot in these episodes. They're only 7 minutes long. I wish they were longer.
But that's the ultimate compliment right there. I wish they were longer.
Yeah. Is that? Can you explain why they're 7 minutes?
Well, this is an interesting artifact of the web series format as it's developing. This is a very fast-moving format. If you had looked at the web series format, this is online TV, episodic TV. 2 years ago, you would have seen 75% comedy. Single locations, handheld cameras, things like that. There are really very specific characteristics to these things. In the last year and a half, you've now got more drama, longer episode lengths. They're shooting in 16:9, for instance. They used to shoot in 7:20:4:3. These are aspect ratios. So this whole format of television has changed radically in 2 years. One of the biggest changes is the episode length is lengthening. For dramatic, and that's a big matter of discussion in the web series community. And there is a web series community. There are, maybe 300, 400 producers around the world now who produce at the sort of in the general way that we do. There's thousands of shows, but when you go to the festivals and you talk to these folks, this is a big matter of discussion on the business side. How long should your episodes be? And they're making it up as they go along. Everybody is. There is no There's no Nielsen. There's no network format. There's no 28.5 minutes of format you got to fill with commercial pods at X, Y, and Z points. So it's a very open issue, and you hit upon a main thing, because for guys like us who don't have a lot of money, how long your episodes are is directly related to how much money you got to spend. And so, there's a very practical level of this, that you're producing to a level that you can basically do. And still continue the story in a way that, as you said, makes you want to see more. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. And we hope to extend the length of them, because we've got much more story to tell. And this story gets very much more multidimensional, particularly with people like Dean Savage and Sally, quickly in the next season. So it's going to be a real trick.
Not to get too far off track, but do you consider this web TV similar to podcasting versus radio, to television versus web TV? Is it a similarity? Yeah,
I would say, because you control the timing and the release, you're not beholden to a network. You are independent in your subject selection. You can produce your own material in a pod, so to speak, like you do. And then string them together as a series of episodes, or documentary episodes, whatever you want to do. So yes, it's independent of a network. So I would say that's a pretty good rough analogy.
Now, would you at any point in time consider making a DVD video of these things and join them together so someone could buy a DVD?
Oh yeah, we definitely have plans to do that. Mm-hmm. We have plans to do that, and we've shot it so that can be done. We're really working on getting 3 to 4 seasons up so that we can have a regular show. And that's something, if you shoot it right, you can do that. It's not too hard, So the answer to that is yes. Where it goes after that, I don't know. What kind of distribution,
Now, is it possible for a producer to find your show online and say they want to put it to broadcasting?
Yes, it's very possible, and they should contact me directly.
Right now. Yes, call 555.
Richard.
Well, there's 2 things. One is, yes, absolutely. We would absolutely sit down across the table from anyone in the production community to discuss making this, a regular in quotes television show. That's fine. We intend to produce it, whether that happens or not. We're just going to go forward, because we got such a great team, and everybody's loving the story. I mean, the news I can break on your podcast here today is we just went over 1 million show views on Colcast Network.
Wow. That's just on one network, and you're also on YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube too, right. Uh-huh. So there's, you produce these things and you wonder if you're half crazy, and then you go out there and the market responds, and, we ain't forcing people to hit the button. It's really happening, and it's very exciting, because if you think about what we're trying to do here, we're trying to create a 3-way cross-section in the road. I always think of Cary Grant running down the cornfields there in North by Northwest, where all those roads meet. One is soap operas, one is UFOs, and one is film noir. And we seem to be hitting all those audiences, and they come together for their various interests in those 3 genres. Market's saying that. The feedback's saying.
Now, Walker and Johnny, have you ever heard of Cary Grant?
No, who's she? Yes, of course.
Just teasing. So you said earlier that you have spoke to several ufologists, and are they assisting you with the storyline or anything?
No, I go to the conferences. I was at the Ozark conference in April, and I spent a long time with David Jacobs, who's wonderful raconteur and a lot of fun to hang out with. I know Linda Moulton Howe. I knew Bud before he died, and I knew John Mack, obviously, because I did that interview with him before he died. I really haven't pulled anyone in, because It's a funny thing. There's sort of a gap between dramatic programming and the work of the ufologists. And they do kind of look over the fence and go, well, I don't know if that's something that I'd be interested in, because they're researchers, and we're dramatic programmers. Whereas dramatic programmers look over at the ufologists and go, I don't know what those guys are doing. We write dramas, So there's a little bit of a gap, and we're hoping to fill that gap. I have no formal relationships with anyone in ufology for a consult or any other role in the show. I can call them if I need them, though, and they're very happy to pick up the phone and say, oh, yeah, that's kind of the way that would work or something. But, nothing formal.
Well, when I started this podcast, I didn't know how I'd be received by people in the field, and everyone is very willing to talk, and it's been great so far.
Well, I look at the people who have been on your show, Stanton Friedman and so many people. I mean, Walker and Johnny, if you go and you look at these shows, you've been up since March or January?
Yeah, not that long. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you look at these names, these are the hitters today in the UFO field. I mean, you could listen to these shows and learn 80% of what people who've been studying this for 10 years know, because these people are so good at this stuff. It's great guest list.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Cool.
And now you're on it, so that's good.
And now you've got us, yeah. You lucky guy. Who's next? Kim Kardashian going to explain to you how she gets that, how she's forged in the sky?
I think she was abducted a long time ago. Maybe.
Certainly mother, at very least. That face is not human.
Not at all.
You should invite him on this show. Oh, that's funny.
Very strange stuff.
Well, you do have a very mysterious person there. I haven't seen him in the show, but it's in the beginning, in the credits. Some guy wearing a top hat, a brim hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what he's up to.
Yeah, see, Richard will not tell you anything, I'm telling you right now.
Well, I would say, if you want to get a feel for this guy, you're probably going to want to look in around episode 6, is what I'm thinking. He will show up. Walker goes out into the... she's having a real rough time at work. And so she goes out into the parking lot or out into a park and has to compose herself, and things happen out there. So he'll be around. This is sort of there's many things that attend this, Martin. You know from ufology. There's the Mothman and the Men in Black and the reptilians and on and on. This Johnny and Walker. Ufology is like a giant stage play with many different characters that are recognizable for people who've been studying this for a while, and he's one of those icons.
I've watched all of the 5 episodes that are up now. Can you kind of talk about where the story starts? And I know you can't say too much, but more or less where the story is going toward.
Yeah, Richard, can you tell us where this thing will end?
I'm going to help you guys so you can figure out your roles.
That's right. Well, we have a hotshot corporate litigator, Sally Lem, who is really good at what she does. And she's a bit of a control freak. And if you've ever met any corporate litigators, that might be possible. And she's trying big cases, but she can't sleep. And she doesn't know why. And she has certain intimacy problems, and she doesn't know why. And she thinks it's just stress, and then that doesn't really adequately solve things, and she starts to get more and more freaky as time goes on. And when you lose sleep, it's just a compounding thing, and she doesn't really have any sense of it being anything but a terrestrial, something's going on, she needs some pills, or she's agitated. She doesn't get it at first, and then she starts to have these flashbacks, and her friends get worried about her colleagues get worried about her. And the important thing about Sally, I think, is I tried to take an every woman, every man type person. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's a corporate litigator, but I explain it this way. It's like I want to talk about UFOs from the point of view of a guy who leans over the fence at the barbecue and says, "Hey, Charlie, tell your wife to get out of the backyard in her pajamas every night and stop it with the flashing lights." ufology has always been this sort of like, those are the crazy people with tinfoil hats. But when you dig into the field, what you find are these are everyday people. I mean, Debbie Jordan was a beautician. There are, ministers, cops. This is an all walks of life type thing. So I just pick Sally as someone that people might get. And then what happens? They go to a shrink because they get at wit's end. And the shrink doesn't believe it. He starts to look at things like family abuse and drug abuse and all the normal things that a shrink would do.
Right.
And then they have scars in their bodies that show up. And where's that from? Are they cutting themselves? Well, not in this instance. If you track all these cases, I'm trying to make Sally a compendium of the things I've seen when I talk to abductees. And Martin, there are many people in this field who, as investigators, who come in and start looking at some piece of the puzzle. Whether it's Bruce Maccabee doing photographic analysis or Roger Lear doing abduction-related surgery extractions of things that are put in people's bodies. There's all kinds of experts who get into this. And Dean Savage is one of them. Milgram is one of them. And then you have the people who live with these people who are all affected in the second level by this presence. There's tremendous conflict. People who get involved in the UFO field always find themselves in conflict because their parents don't believe them. Their spouses don't. So it's tremendous stress.
That's right. A lot of times I have like a list and things to go down. I didn't really prepare for this because it's so different compared to anything I've ever done before. Can you think of anywhere that we can go so I can get both Johnny and you, Walker, to talk a little more as far as this whole...
Well, Johnny and I can just talk to each other. That's pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
we're on totally different planets, so it's really quite an interesting thing.
Perfect casting, see? Perfect casting. I can say this about the characters. It's very dissected. I mean, seriously, usually when you have an ensemble, you can ask Walker or Richard, or if you've done any acting yourself, there's a synergy, there's this camaraderie, there's this, your side of the box, their side of the box, and it's put together. This story of Milgram and the Fastwalkers, this cast is completely, for me at least, it's very dissected. Very dissected, and the stories come in together, but they're very dissected. It's not your typical writing. That's what I like the most about it. I mean, if you watch a regular soap opera, or if you watch something else, you kind of know where the story's going to go, and it has this flow. This is all over the place. It's like, a bomb went off and you got the shrapnel going all over the place. So that's the cast. And that's what makes it so interesting. Seriously, that's what makes it so interesting. I mean, and of course, the subject matter is, it's wicked. And the lighting that Richard's been putting on this with this film noir, blast, it's, you don't see much of these. You don't see this. I mean, I've never seen this anywhere else. So
yeah, I agree with that. The style is very cool.
Isn't it? Yeah, and his directing is great. I mean, Walker, the episode that you and I have that's coming up, I think the tug of war that we have, and that's in that episode, it's not the usual tug of war between two characters in any other script. Just the way it's been written and directed. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to working with you again. I mean, hopefully I'll see you wherever we shoot, East Coast, West Coast, wherever Richard decides to do this. But no, it's been fun. Really, we've been having a blast.
That's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with that. I think one of the cool things is that you do really get to focus on your own character because and makes acting a challenge because you don't have these interactions often, and often when we do film together, we haven't worked together in many weeks or months, so it's not like a natural. It's kind of like when you go to a family reunion and you like everyone, you love everyone, but you're like, well, where do we start? Because, I haven't seen you in 5 years, so the weather seems like the wrong thing, but I don't really know your baby or what you do for a living anymore. So it's kind of like that, and allows you to just really kind of play your thing out and focus on yourself. And then when it comes together with what the other person has done with their character, it's exciting because you genuinely don't know what to expect respect for them. You don't know what their take on the scene is or what their take on their character is. So you can genuinely say that you're reacting because it's like you met them for the first time each scene, which is it's very cool to work in that environment.
That's great. So, Richard, why don't you go ahead and say where we can find this Milgram and the Fastwalkers?
Okay, we're available on the Coldcast Network, and you just go to coldcasttv.com and look up Milgram and the Fastwalkers. Generally, we're right on the home page. We've been one of the most popular shows routinely, day after day, since we launched there in July. We have our own site, which is fastwalkerseries.com, one word, fastwalkerseries, plural.com. And we are also on Blip TV, and we're on YouTube as The Fastwalker Series on YouTube, The Fastwalker Series. And we're on Twitter as The Fastwalkers. And please come to our Facebook page and like us there.
Yay.
Sign up for our Twitter page and talk to all our wonderful actors, because they'll all talk back to you.
I can tell.
Great fans and great actors.
That's great. Well, this has been wonderful. Thanks so much. It's been a blast. I'm sure that our listeners will tune into your show and watch it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Martin. This has been fun.
And hello to everybody out there in UFO land. We love you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep doing that great work.
Come visit us in LA.
Okay. So this is Martin Willis, and I'm with Richard Cutting, Johnny Alonso, and Walker Hayes, and that's it for today.